is Sue Carnell. I'm a part-time instructor here at Madison College. I spent the last 26 years with the City of Madison Police Department, retired 2 years ago. I can tell you that I never in my wildest dreams ever thought that I would be a police officer. I grew up in the city of Chicago, and I grew up pretty poor, grew up in housing projects, and my family was homeless for a while. We didn't have much. I didn't come from much. I applied myself in school. I graduated with honors from high school, managed to get a scholarship. The best that we can do for ourselves as police officers in this field is to constantly examine our biases, because we all have them. And the responsibility of being a police officer can't be taken lightly.
My name is Adrian. My professional experience consists of 20 years as a sworn police officer. My first 10 years was as a patrolman, where I was a certified state instructor in multiple disciplines, including vehicle contacts, EVOC. After my 10 years of experience as a patrolman, I became a lieutenant. I was at the level of lieutenant for 6 years. I've been the chief of police for the city of Fort Atkinson for the last 4 years, and just recently started teaching here at Madison College at the beginning of 2018. I always tell my command staff, we talk about that hope is not a method. You know, I hope it turns out for me. You have to actually go after what you want, and you need to make it happen yourself. You need to leverage the skills you have and take advantage of things before you and make it happen. Don't hope that it happens.
My name is Schneider. My background is mainly in law enforcement and asset security. Started in 1981 as a patrol officer. Once I came to Wisconsin, I became a law enforcement officer in Mount Horeb, Wisconsin, and eventually becoming the chief in a small municipality in Dane County. And currently, I'm working for the Department of Defense, and I am the Wisconsin Senior Security Analyst who advises and analyzes for the Joint Force Headquarters in Madison.
My name is Amy Nemmetz. I teach community policing strategies. My very first job, I was still in high school, and they said, come work at the Sheriff's Department, transcribe the tapes for the detectives. And then from that job, I went and worked at a drug unit and assisted with undercover drug buys and some search warrants. And then from there, I got to work at a police department as a community service officer and dispatcher. And then from there, I kind of dived more into the correctional route. I worked with juveniles at risk, and then I also worked for Dane County Courts. I'm also a licensed social worker. So I jumped over to human services, and I worked in child protection, and I've been doing some victim impact programming with students at a medium security correctional institution for the last 4 years.
My name is Chapin. I'm the Chief of Police with the Village of Shorewood Hills, and I formerly was with the University of Wisconsin-Madison Police Department for 17 years. Spent time in patrol, court services, and have been heavily involved in training for multiple years. I've taught in the Recruit Academy for probably 7 or 8 years now, and this is my first semester in the criminal justice program. So I'm incredibly excited.
My name is Tim Krueger. I've been a police officer since 1989. I started my career with the City of Fort Atkinson Police Department. While I was at Fort Atkinson, I served in a variety of different positions, including patrol, drug enforcement, including a year as an undercover drug and narcotics officer. I spent time in the schools as a school resource officer. I was promoted to lieutenant, and I spent about 6 years as a lieutenant. In 2001, I was hired by the Village of Maple Bluff as the police chief and as the village administrator. I continue to be employed in that position.
My name is Ron Groffy, and I've been an instructor here at Madison College for about 30 years. I have worked with the Department of Justice at the crime labs for 36 years. I was the head of the imaging unit. I was a field response team member, which is basically the CSI type of people. I was also sent to the FBI Academy several times for specialized training. I've been qualified both as an expert witness in photography and also in crime scene processing. There's 2 courses that I developed, which is the investigative photography class. And then I also have a forensic evidence class.
My name's Kevin Stapleton. In the course of my career in law enforcement, I spent nearly 25 years with the Jefferson County Sheriff's Department and started teaching in the latter part of my years with them. When somebody asks, well, what do you like to teach? I always say, well, Intro to Corrections is probably my favorite. And that also has to do with the fact that a third of my entire career was in corrections. I started as a deputy in corrections. I was a sergeant on second and third shift in corrections. And eventually, when I was promoted to captain, I became the administrator of a mid-sized jail. I teach in the Law Enforcement Academy here. And on the first day, I talk about being holistic in your approach. And I do this in the associate degree program as well. I say, you know, let's talk about your mental health and your physical health, because there are going to be bad days. You need to go home at the end of the day and rejuvenate yourself.
My name is Brian Landers. I was a police officer with the City of Wisconsin Dells Police Department. I was a canine handler. I had a dual-purpose German Shepherd. His name was Canine Felon. Then I got promoted to sergeant, then got promoted to lieutenant. Was on the drug unit, was commander of our city drug unit, was on Sauk and Columbia County drug units as well. Prior to being mayor, I was elected to 3 terms on the county board. When I was a kid growing up in Chicago, my dad would take me fishing along the harbors of Lake Michigan. And the officers on horseback, the mounted officers, would patrol down there, and they would stop and talk to me. And that really stuck with me. My dad lost his job, and we were going to be homeless. So my aunt ran a little dairy farm in Wisconsin Dells, a really small, dinky little dairy farm, and she took us in. So I really literally went from an inner city school in Chicago one day, and the next day I was enrolled in a little country school in the Dells. And it was quite the culture shock. I actually went to Madison College right out of high school. So I got my 2 years of Madison College. I did my internship at the Dells Police Department while I was going to school here, and they hired me right out of college. So, you know, I tell my students now, I'm living proof that their associate degree will take them right to a job.
So my name is Sandy Blumer. I'm the Criminal Justice Department Chair and Tribal Partnership Director here at the college. I've been here for 15 years. I started in the role of the Native American Student Advisor, and that morphed into program advising, and then was offered this position, which I also refer to as my dream job. Everyone's on their journey, and everyone's coming from a different place, and students are coming from all those experiences that they've had up to this point. And now we get to help feed them in a way that's gonna affect our communities. So it feels really good when I know the quality of our staff and their backgrounds and the histories of what they know and what they've experienced, and to know that those are the instructors teaching our young people to go out and build community. Wow. That makes me feel, it makes me feel good, and I'm in the right place. And it's powerful. It's pretty powerful, yeah.
My name is Kalvin Barrett. I'm a full-time instructor in the criminal justice program, as well as I'm the lead defense and arrest tactics instructor in our law enforcement academy. Before becoming a full-time instructor here at Madison College, I was a Dane County deputy at the Dane County Sheriff's Office for 3 years. After that, I was a Sun Prairie Police Department officer for 5 years. My father was in law enforcement when I was young, and he passed away injury related to being on duty. So at that time, at 12 years old, I had the opportunity to see the law enforcement community in San Diego, California at his funeral. I'll never forget being there, and my mom and our family being there, and the flag being folded and the shots being fired and the planes flying over. But what I remembered the most was there were so many law enforcement officers from the entire state of California. And I just remember looking while I was shaking the hands of all of these officers, thinking, gosh, they all came to pay respects to my father. And that's where I really understood the bond of the law enforcement community and how strong that is. It was also really inspiring as well.